Well, hello there. My name is HW, and thank you so much for watching Tone Junkie TV. You're probably thinking, HW, you're like Mr. Kemper. You can't make a video about the Stomp. What are you doing? Well, listen, I'm really fascinated with what I see happening with the Stomp and in the gear world right now because to me, there's nothing out there like the HX Stomp in terms of what it's trying to do and the solution, the problem it's trying to solve. And to me, I think it's so amazing how flexible the Stomp is in that you can put it on your pedal board and you can run effects through it and it can replace an M9. You know, I was an M9 user for years. Then someone convinced me I should get the Strymon stuff. Got that, did that for a while, and then realized I was happier with my M9. Sold it, sold the Strymon stuff, went back to the M9. And then even an H9, I had some of those for a while. But the Stomp provides me what I felt those things did and why I liked those pedals. The Stomp lets me do that, but it lets me do one more thing. It solves the problem of, hey, I've got a pedal board and I've got my stuff, but I've got to go on a fly date. But I've got to fill in for somebody, or I just want quick setup, or I don't like the backline amp, or they gave me a backline amp, but it doesn't work when I get there. You know, since moving to Nashville, I can't tell you how many times I've heard guitar players say artists are just doing more one-off shows. They're doing more fly dates, and guitar players are being asked to fly and travel without an amp more and more. Or when it is with an amp, it's just very restrictive, and sometimes the backline doesn't show up. I've had that happen to me. I've also had it happen where the backline didn't work when I showed up. And so the HX Stomp provides a solution here. You can have your pedal board with your effects. The HX Stomp, did I say HX9? The HX Stomp can be just effects, but you can then just bank over and get another preset where your amp sound is built in too. And then you're on your pedal board. You're comfortable. It sounds like you. It's your setup, and I think that's so cool. So, hey, I made some free HX Stomp presets, and I've been making a ton of IRs. And so here's a free IR. It's on the download, along with 3 HX Stomp presets. They're all around the AC30 model. There's one around the Bright model and one around the normal model. And in snapshot mode, those have 3 different levels of gain. And you could maybe you could get through a set with those. Maybe. I really don't know. But the thing is, it's 6 blocks, and you kind of start to run out quickly. You know, if it were 8 or 9 blocks, I think this could be your only unit. But it's 6 blocks, and so you can make it work. But maybe you'll find those useful. What I think you're really going to find useful though is what I'm trying to use the HX Stomp for, and that is for all the pedal guys. And that's what I want to demo for you here. You're going to see something called in the download called TJ AC Normal Pedals. And again, it's all free. Here, I'll put it right there. TJ AC Normal Pedals. And I tried to make a Stomp preset with I'm using snapshot mode here, where there's 3 levels of wetness. 3 levels of wetness. And this amp, to me, is what I like to slam pedals in front of. So I can slam my overdrives in here. Now, I'll tell you my methodology here. I shot this IR. It is a particularly bright IR. It is bright because I mostly get a lot of brightness from microphones when I make Kemper profiles or when I'm shooting IRs or recording a guitar. But it's bright because I am experimenting with, I have a little thesis here. I think that if I shoot the IRs brighter, I can dial in a more neutral amp block on the HX Stomp, and that is going to allow me to run pedal board stuff better. I'm going to be able to hit that amp block because it has more neutral settings and then get my brightness from the Stomp. Does that make sense to anybody else? It makes sense to me. One of the tough things about running into a tube amp or any setup, the HX Stomp included, is when I have my really nice and airy, bright clean, if I try to throw a bunch of dirt on that, sometimes it gets a little harsh, a little too quickly. So I've shot this IR pretty open, pretty airy. You're probably not going to need to use a low end cut. If you want to take this IR and put it in your own presets, just be prepared to make some adjustments because you're instantly going to notice, hey, this isn't as full as some other IRs I have. And what I really did was tried to go, what bass do you not need in a live mix? I'm not going to get that. That's what I don't want. So I cut that out of there. And so you're not going to find that in this IR. And then I, like I said, created a more neutral Stomp around it. So let me demo this for you. This is a Sir JM Pro, and it's running Sir S90 pickups. These are just P90s made by Sir. So this is going to be a nice middle ground for humbucker and single coil guys. You might want to grab that treble and presence knob on the AC block and dial it up or down a little bit. just depending on your guitar, if it's brighter or darker than this. So check it out. With nothing on, it's a little bit undergained. And again, that's the barely there. Here's like the worshipy. But that's undergained. It's meant to run pedals in. So here's my Cali 76 on top. I like kind of a compressor that pushes the signal a little bit. So that's what I'm calling sort of the big guitar sound. If you want the barely there sound. You know, it's the same amp, it's just less wet. And then here we have some more, you know, big guitar again. And then the third snapshot here is maybe it's called Sell Your Big Sky, or Where's Your Volume Pedal, because it can really do the swells. No volume pedal plugged in, so sorry, that wasn't the smoothest, but you can really, it's over the top, you know? Now I've made this so that I can slam my pedals in the front of it, so if you want to hear, here's like the barely there preset, and here's the sound bites. Now I'm going to throw a little tube screamer on top of that. Maybe there's like a first stage. The blues note, left it there. That was a little bit better. To me, it takes pedals well. I mean, that sounds like my first stage kind of. And, you know, you can go to the big guitar. Snapshot 2 for me, for like praise and worship, is where I'm going to live. You know, I'm going to live right there. And with the King of Tone now. Anyway, you know, I mean, to me, that sounds like my King of Tone kind of going into an amp. I can even stack these together, and I think they do a thing. You know, here's the King of Tone by itself. I mean, hey, it'll do some pretty great out there pop out tones. But look, I'm stacking a compressor that's hitting the signal pretty hard into a king of tone. I'm sorry, into a tube screamer, into a king of tone. And I mean, it seems to be holding together for me. I'm getting tones I really like. I'm even going to try the distortion side of the king of tone right here. So again, I think this thing takes pedals pretty well. Just to recap, I'm using it in snapshot mode. It's like kind of a barely there wetness. You know, there's a good amount still there, but for the Sunday morning guys, we're gonna call that barely there. Yeah, barely there wetness, why not? In a mix, you're not gonna notice all of that trail. It's just gonna sound a little bit ambient. It's not gonna be enough for the usual Sunday stuff. And that's where this comes in. This is kind of where I would live here. And then if you really want to get really wet, you know, you can do your stuff right. I don't know. It's working for me. Guys, it's all free. Go check it out. I'd really love to get your feedback. I'm still learning about the Stomp. You know, some things I've tried just from trial and error. Like I said, I found that making a brighter IR or going for an IR that sounds too bright at first actually lets me get a more neutral amp setting, and that allows me to, again, slam it with pedals and not get too much harshness in the high end. At least that's what I'm experiencing. I'm also experiencing that lowering that channel volume, kind of going into the IR and then making up that volume difference either at the IR volume or later at an EQ level, also works pretty well. I'm just finding really cool different stuff. This is just 3 levels of wetness. You adjust it to you. I actually think the big swell one is maybe a little bit too much to play without swells. Hey, that's just what I put in here. I think number 2, the big Sunday one, that could actually come up a little bit depending on your style and what you want to do. The barely there, maybe someone's going to say, hey, that's too much there. But it's free. I'm really interested in your feedback. So if you want to tell me what you think, tell me how you think these are taking pedals, or how just, you know, how you're best getting the Stomp to take pedals that are slamming the front of it, you know. That's a real topic of interest of mine. So go download these. They're cool, and they're for free on the site, of course. And put your email in there, because I'm going to be updating this and building more, and maybe even sharing some user stuff, you know, that people just put in there and stuff. And I'll put it in some Facebook groups as well and everything. Hey, thanks so much. My name's HW, and HW out.